of staff who prays before testifying, I don't think it helped him very much, who works for a minister who was suspended under mysterious circumstances. There are friendships involved here that were forged in backrooms and boys' trips, and an affidavit that Julius Malema said was thumbsucked. Tonight we follow the trail of Cedric Nkabinde, the man at the center of one of the biggest political storms of 2025. Who is Cedric Nkabinde and why are we talking about him? So first of all, he is Senzo Mchunu, suspended police minister's chief of staff. He is still holding the position, even though Senzo Mchunu is on, his leave, his taxpayer-funded leave for his salary of 2.4 million rand a year. We know that General Mogotsi came before the committee and testified that Cedric had acted outside the bounds of his ministerial staff. Mchunu also testified that he asked Nkabinde to record his telephonic conversations with General Mogotsi. And he says that basically the reason why Mogotsi said the things that he said about him today, this is Cedric Nkabinde, is because, they were once friends and Mogotsi's angry because he recorded the conversations. And he's also angry about Mchunu's decision to disband the PKTT. So let's talk a little bit about the man. So Cedric was appointed on the 1st of August 2024, around the same time that Senzo Mchunu was, and he still holds his position. Like I said, Mchunu has been placed on special leave. He is chief of staff. This is a position of immense trust and power. Ministers can usually appoint who they want to in this position as long as they pass the screening, as long as they have some of the necessary qualifications. And this is a person who a minister trusts completely. We've seen this in the movies, that person who's always whispering into the politician's ears. It is that person. And Mchunu nominated Cedric for the position, even though Cedric wants us to believe that it absolutely came from nowhere. And there are a screening and assessments that one must pass. Now, let's go through his qualifications. He has a diploma in police, a BTEC in policing, and a basic training certificate. He has some detective training, and he joined IPID. So IPID is that body that investigates the police. And he resigned in 2018, which we're going to get to later. There was a little bit of a scandal involved there. And he worked in the private sector until 2024. And he says that him and Mogotsi were friends, that when he was employed, it was Mogotsi that helped him find a job, because that is what friends are for. Now, he was suspended from IPID. He says that he left IPID after a misunderstanding with IPID director Robert McBride. So he says that the reason he was suspended is because he blew the whistle to Police Minister Bheki Cele in something that was implicating McBride and Paul O'Sullivan. Now, this report ended up with McBride, and McBride allegedly got upset that Cedric was blowing the whistle on him, and he suspended him. And after the suspension happened, according to Cedric, who testified today, he said McBride had a chat with IPID's legal team and they proposed a settlement. The charges would be withdrawn against Cedric Nkabinde as long as he would resign. We know that this would come up later, which I'm going to talk about the police grabber scandal later. So I just want you to remember this. But there is some bad blood between McBride and O'Sullivan and Cedric Nkabinde because of all of these things that have happened. Now, let's talk about the grabber scandal. So in 2019, Robert McBride was the head of IPID. Now, this is a very powerful role because IPID essentially controls police in oversight in the police. It is a very important body. Bheki Cele came before Parliament and said that there was prima facie evidence that McBride was not fit to be the executive director. But McBride said allegations weak and that it was a political maneuver because at the time IPID was investigating the police purchase. Does this sound familiar? Of a grabber. So this is something that tracks cell phones, and this purchase was supposed to be for 10 million rand, but it was made at an inflated price of 50 million rand, and it's alleged that the missing money, that 40 million rand, was used to buy ANC votes at an elective conference that year. McBride had a defender, and the defender was in the form of DAMP Diane Kohler Barnard. There's a familiar name to that channel, someone who has also come out in Mkhonasi's allegations. And she said that the person whose affidavit that it came from, who was used to suspend McBride, was Cedric Nkabinde, and she reminded everyone that he had been found guilty of lying under oath before. So, like I said, these people that have been coming up in front of the ad hoc committee, do they have some sort of virus that is spreading in the form of amnesia? I think that there's like a mass amnesia virus that is spreading among these people who are appearing before the ad hoc committee, because there's a lot of I don't remember, I don't recall, I'm not involved with that. That is just something that I've personally been noticed. Now we got to talk a little bit about when Nkabinde met Mchunu. Nkabinde originally met Mchunu when he was investigating an IPID case. So one of Mchunu's bodyguards had been murdered, and Mchunu was not happy with how the police were dealing with the case, so he reached out. Nkabinde was assigned to the case, and he visited the Hawks. He was introduced to Mchunu by McBride, and he said he kept contact with Mchunu, but he didn't go into details. He said, Mchunu's on TV. It's like, I see him on TV all the time. That's why I want to keep contact with him. And he says they talked about general things. And when pushed by MPs, one of them was even saying the weather or what. Like, he basically said it's just, we talked infrequently, but we never lost contact. And we talked about general things, which is pretty vague for me, right? I mean, he couldn't even name one thing. And then he said that he was friends with General Mkhonasi and that they went together to Empangeni to go and meet Mchunu, and that it was a boys' trip. And he didn't want to divulge more because he's like, my wife and his wife are watching. I'm not going to let you guys know what happened and what we got up to. And he admitted that Mkhonasi is his friend, or was his friend, because he helped find him a job, as well as he was there to comfort him when someone in his family died. He also added something which I found was pretty interesting. He said there are things him and me will go to the grave with. Now, when talking about his relationship with Senzo Mchunu, he says he was not as close to Mchunu. And we must remember in his testimony, Mkhonasi said that Nkabinde wasn't qualified for his job as Mchunu's chief. Nkabinde says his reaction to this was basically because his friend was angry because he recorded him. So remember, he was asked by Senzo Mchunu to record his conversations. Now, the appointment to chief of staff came out of the blue. He says he was working at the Water and Sanitation Administration when all of a sudden Senzo Mchunu phoned him and said, I want you to be my chief of staff. I mean, wow, this guy who I've been talking to infrequently, that I barely know, wants to appoint me in this position of utmost trust that is usually only reserved for people who you are very close to. I mean, let me know if you are believing it in the comments, because I certainly am not. Now, we also got to go on to channel favorite Brown Mogotsi. So Nkabinde confirmed that he knows Brown Mogotsi and that Mchunu also knew him from the Northwest, and that it was General Mkhonasi that sent him Mogotsi's number. We know this. General Mkhonasi testified to this, that he recalled facilitating a meeting between Mchunu and Mogotsi because there was an issue with Zama Zamas, which are illegal miners being trapped underground near Stilfontein. And we know that Mogotsi is this big businessman for the Northwest. So there was this meeting that was facilitated in order to try and sort that out, apparently. This meeting happened in Mchunu's official residence in Pretoria. Now, we got to talk about the WhatsApps, because there are WhatsApps between Brown Mogotsi and Kat Matala and someone known as Senzo Chief. Who do you think that might be? Because Senzo Chief is apparently not Nkabinde, at least he's denying it. So when confronted directly with this issue of Senzo Chief, he says, I am chief of staff, not Senzo chief. And I'm seeing these messages for the first time. And one of the messages from Brown Mogotsi says, our guy needs your intervention. And he says, I've never seen this. This is my first time. And there's even another message that says, hello, chief of staff. I got your number from Brown Mogotsi. And Nkabinde denied receiving messages from Mogotsi and Kat Matala. He just simply denied it, even though those WhatsApps were right in front of Parliament. He would go on to say, there are many chiefs of staff in South Africa. I'm just one of them. There are many. Now, this guy has been found guilty of lying under oath before. And I don't know if that praying that he did before parliamentary session helped him very much, because this is when things got heated in Parliament. They were trying to go through his affidavit. And now an affidavit is a sworn statement. When you write an affidavit, what you put in there has to be the truth under perjury. When you sign it as the absolute truth under penalty of perjury. And to me, there are only two options for what happened next. Number one, he is wholly unprepared for what he was doing, and he thinks it's a waste of time appearing in front of parliamentary ad hoc commission, essentially appearing before the people of South Africa.
Are willing to die for. I'm raising my hand for a follow-up question, Chair. If I heard you correctly, Mr. Nkabinde, you said you did not know Brown Mogotsi before you were given an instruction by the minister to facilitate a meeting.
That's correct, Chair. And
that instruction, that meeting that you are talking about took place in November, correct? The first meeting?
Around October, November.
Yes, I said around, but under corrections, because I don't have my information. All my information are in those gadgets.
Okay, around October.
I could be precisely.
Yes, around October, November. So the minister, when did the minister give you his number? Mr. Mogotsi's number? When did he give you? Before the meeting, a day before the meeting, or way before the meeting was held?
He gave me a number before the meeting because I could not facilitate a meeting
you know
without having a number.
What precipitates a confusion, Chair, here is that Mr. Nkabinde says in his statement, he was called by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi in September 2024. General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was asking him about Brown Mogotsi. And he says, in his reply, he said to General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, I know Mr. Mogotsi as a close, and well, he's now saying, he didn't say he's a close associate, but he says, he said to General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, I know Mr. Mogotsi as a person who is close to the minister. And that was in September. Again, he says he did not know Brown Mogotsi up until he was instructed by the minister to facilitate a meeting around October and November. Now, a call from General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi was made before the meeting for which he was instructed to facilitate. So that's where the confusion is. I think there's a lot of contradiction that the witness is making.
Yes.
Was Brown Mogotsi there?
No, he was not there.
Okay. Honorable Malem. And Chief
Chief of Staff, is this affidavit your affidavit?
Yes, it's correct.
Do you confirm everything that is in this affidavit?
It's correct.
Did you have your gadgets when you were writing this affidavit?
No, dates I was thumb sucking.
So we are being given a thumb-sucked information here in front of the nation, and we must accept that. Because the simple thing should have been to the evidence leaders, I don't have my gadgets, and as a result, I'm unable to give you an accurate information. Because you are under oath. Some of these things are going to come across as being lies under oath, because you didn't have the equipment. So this information written here it's not worth the paper written on because it's thumb-sucked. Why should we proceed with these proceedings if you are saying you don't remember anything before or after? When you are caught, you change, it must have been before. Because here, paragraph 78, I confirmed that I knew who Brown Mogotsi was and that the minister too knew Brown Mogotsi from Northwest. Lieutenant General sent Brown Mogotsi's number to me and I confirmed that it was indeed Brown Mogotsi's number. This is a very serious detail which you can't just give if you don't make reference to anything at your disposal. You even give specific date. You say 30th September.
I'm partly covered by what Honorable Malema has raised because my question primarily, Mr. Nkabinde, was to ascertain the basis upon which you were deciding on your sworn-in affidavit to choose October, November. What were the basis? I understand that the catchers are not with you. I understand that there's a Lusigi meeting, but there are two choices you have made which are quite striking. And these are choices you made voluntarily. The first one is to decide that we are going to say October, November. The second choice you have made here now before us is the second choice you have made without us forcing you to decide on it, is to tell us that essentially the only time you had the number or the contact details of Mr. Mogotsi was shortly few days before you arrange the October-November meeting. That's your choice as well. We did not force you to that decision. So my question is, what makes you to, I mean, the first one, why did you decide to place November, October, November?
Let's start with the matters raised by Honorable Malema.
Chairperson, when I was consulted by the evidence leader, I was upfront with them that it is so unfortunate that I can't be precise with dates because I don't have information with me because of gadgets. Then I was advised to more or less, do you think it could be when? So this, I made this reference based on that, of which now I can confirm, guided by the call of General Mkhwanazi, of which even that call, I can't be precisely, it was 30 September. I'm just guided by what he said. But yeah, I can be...
Just hold it a moment. If we are not accurate in terms of the dates or the days, let's use the chronological method. Between the two events, which one came first? Lusigi and the October-November meeting.
It means it was an oversight on my side. The meeting of Mogotsi, it can't be after Lusigi. It's before.
The meeting that
of Mogotsi will be before.
And then General Mkhwanazi gave you Mogotsi's number in terms of your sworn statement after at Lusigi, which comes after the October-November meeting.
That's correct, Chair.
But you say that was the time when you first got Mogotsi's number. It was when you were given by Mkhwanazi.
No, Chair. The first, I was given by the minister.
I want you to understand it. How possible is that the minister requests you to have a meeting, to arrange a meeting, and the minister gives you Mogotsi's number? Then you call a meeting. The meeting happens. And then thereafter, there is an event at Lusigi. General Mkhwanazi gives you, again, the number that you have already. And you confirm that indeed this is Mogotsi's number. This is chronological.
Hence, Chair, I'm saying, guided by the call of General Mkhwanazi, that he's asking me if I know Mogotsi. That will be after I got the number from the minister, and that will be after the meeting of Mogotsi and the minister, because there was no way I would have a number to confirm to Mkhwanazi without me having his number during of that meeting facilitation.
Did both of them give you Mogotsi's number? Both the minister. Okay, between the minister and General Mkhwanazi, who was the first to give you Mogotsi's number?
The minister.
And then when General Mkhwanazi gave you Mogotsi's number, you already had it.
Yes, I already had it, then I had to confirm it.
Why did you have to confirm it? Because you had already spoken to Mogotsi to arrange a meeting.
No, General Mkhwanazi, it was on a different context. General Mkhwanazi was asking, do you know a person called Mogotsi? He said he knows the minister. Then I confirmed that, yes, we know that guy. Is this his number? He was further confirming. Then I checked that, I said, yes, it's his number.
Let me check first with you. The answers that have been given to your question, Honorable Malema, do you want to make follow-ups?
No, Chair, we see, Chief of Staff, we were very serious, and you are under oath. You can't say, guided by Mkhwanazi's call, now you know that you actually received the number before that call. Because you are the one who's writing the statement. At paragraph number 6, you write about Mkhwanazi's call to you. And you even write a specific date. If you are guided by that, it should have guided you when you were writing it here. Because then you proceed at paragraph 80 to say you are now, for the first time you received a number is when the minister gave it to you. You get Mkhwanazi's thing on paragraph 76, which must now help you to remember when did I get this number. You still proceed to write October even when you wrote Mkhwanazi's thing. You are deliberately misleading us. You are deliberately misleading us, and we need to put that, Chair, on the record. He's deliberately misleading us. It's a shifting goalpost. When he's caught, he says, hey, I can't remember. Oh, now I'm guided by Mkhwanazi. Mkhwanazi should have guided you when you were writing this. You wrote it on 76, and then you wrote the other one on 80. You read this affidavit. You wrote it, you read it. You then even confirmed that you understand what you wrote here. But what you wrote here contradicts exactly what you are trying to tell us. Can you accept that you are misrepresenting the facts here, and that you completely want to apologize, or to a particular extent even ask that you withdraw this affidavit and go and do a proper affidavit where you remember dates? Because this, once you start shifting it around, it's no longer the original affidavit. Once you start saying 80 must come before 76, then it's no longer the original affidavit before us here. You'll have to go and do a new affidavit and then do a sworn thing and then come and administer oath properly, because this is a misrepresentation which you must not accept as a committee.
What is your comment?
My comment, Chair, where in my affidavit, where there are specific dates that are mentioned or a period, I could apologize to the committee that it could be not a correct and a correct version, because there was nothing assisting me in recollecting. But I did mention to the evidence leader that I'm having this predicament. And then the evidence leader guided me that at least can you estimate? So it was on those bases. But if there are this discrepancy in terms of dates and the period, it's because I don't have a help on my accurate information from my gadget, which is over the month is not been returned to me.
So in his affidavit, he contradicts himself and he says that there are 2 dates. So for example, there was in the affidavit, he said there was a meeting that took place on the 30th of September in Lusikisiki, and then again in the affidavit it says in October, November. Now, when asked about the contrasts in his affidavit, he would basically say that, oh, my gadgets have been taken away, so I can't confirm it. And no other staff member was involved in arranging the meeting, which is a little bit dodgy. And this is when MPs got visibly angry, especially Malema, because they would say, you have access to these things. They've been reported publicly in the news. We are aware of everyone's whereabouts because of news media. And they basically said that go home and write a proper affidavit. It was public info that Mchunu was at the mine in November and that he was in Lusikisiki in September. So Nkabinde didn't need his devices to facilitate or to make a correct affidavit. Now, Nkabinde eventually did say he takes ownership of his affidavit, that he didn't do much research. And then he was sent home packing because he has to be ready within the next 10 days. So what Nkabinde eventually did today is he wasted all of our time. And the EFF is taking this seriously. They are going to lay charges against him because, like I said, when people appear before these parliamentary ad hoc committees, this is not a joke. This is something serious. They are appearing before the people of South Africa.
Let's quickly take you to Cape Town now. That's where the EFF is laying a perjury charge against Cedric Nkabinde. Let's listen in.
And been able to do that. So while we understand, and I think he overused that thing about his gadgets being seized. It was unnecessary. There weren't that many dates, but we do understand that could have been the reason. But not someone who's been in the service since 2004, yet alone a chief of staff for the Minister of Police. It's a no.
There were issues around a conflict when Lisa Schikkeling, the alternate member of the DA, laid a similar complaint against Senzo Mchunu in the same police station. Are you not worried that maybe you might also have an issue of a conflict when it comes to Nkabinde coming back to Parliament and you sitting in during that hearing?
But there's no conflict. We concluded even as a committee, that this was perjury and that he misled it. So there's nothing conflict. And for the DA to withdraw her for conflict of interest is neither here or there. We don't understand why they took that decision, yet Collard Barnard is still there. It makes no sense.
What does the EFF hope to achieve from a perjury charge? I mean, it's not necessarily a charge that is taken seriously. And
you see.
Rightfully said that Parliament is not being taken seriously. Yeah. So in the end, what do you hope to achieve? I mean, given the circumstances and given the situation that we are in, I mean, to see this question is not...
And this is the time that we need to make sure that we are being taken serious, and the EFF is going to follow up on this. Perjury, you can't say it can't be taken serious. It should be, and we are going to make sure that...
Parliament represents the people of our country, and they are essentially appearing before us, and this is either very shoddy work, and this is someone who is a policeman, someone who knows that affidavits should be accurate, but yet he is appearing with this shoddy work. So that makes me conclude either one or two things. Either, in my own opinion, he is wholly incompetent, or number two, he is trying to be disingenuous and mislead us. Comment below what you think.